And I think we are live, so I'm just going to say hello to everybody watching us. We are here live from the Qt World Summit 2023 in Berlin. I am Giuseppe D'Angelo, you can call me Peppe, and today and tomorrow we're going to run a little experiment. I'd like to discuss a little bit with you what do I do when I do a code review in Qt. So in case you didn't know before, you should know that I'm sorry, I'm getting some directions from the... Oh, there is no sound. That is interesting. I hope that that is not actually true, because I do see sound coming out, but okay, sorry. Apologies for that. we're having some technical issues, but I hope everything's sorted out now. So, as I was saying, we're going to do a little bit of code review today and tomorrow, same hour, 2 o'clock European time. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about the process of code review, that is, what do I think about when I'm asked or I just decide to do some code reviews on Qt. And tomorrow we're actually going to put in practice what I'm just telling you today. So in case you didn't know, Qt actually has a public code review website. You can just check it out. I'm going to leave a link in the description in case you want to watch it out. In case you want to check it out right away, please don't listen to me first. When I get asked to do a code review about some Qt code, I usually try and think about a few essential aspects before I even begin doing a code review. Now, granted, not every kind of code review is the same. If you are asked to review just a little bit of code, just a one-liner, just a little documentation fix, then you just review the code, you say, okay, this looks reasonable, let me approve it, or let me comment on it right away. But a much more interesting case is the one where you have to review a bigger feature. So somebody contributes a new function into Qt, a new class into Qt, a new module into Qt, or something more elaborated. So how do I go when I'm asked to review something like that? I try not to start from the code. And I understand it's very hard, especially because the UI of the code review website just shows you the code and wants you to review the code. But I try not to. I try not to start from the code. The first thing I think about is the motivation for this specific feature. According to me, according to my personal experience, does this feature make sense to be added into Qt, or maybe it doesn't, or maybe it should be added elsewhere or in a different form? And the best way to understand if that's the case, if that feature makes sense, is actually looking at the commit message and the reasoning which is in there, which is why I think it's dreadfully important to write good commit messages. Now, the Qt project has a policy regarding commit messages. You can check it out, understand how you're supposed to write one. But again, if you just use common sense, you are supposed to justify your choices. So you're supposed to document what your feature does, and of course then also elaborate on your implementation strategy. But as I said, the first thing that should be what it does and why does it make sense. Then, if I agree with the motivation, the second thing I try to look at are examples and documentation. Again, I try not to look at the code of the actual feature, but I try to understand how is this feature supposed to be used. Are there any examples? Is there any good documentation that explains this feature does that? This is how you're supposed to use it. This is the problem it solves. If a feature does not have examples or documentation, that is usually a bad sign. Not only because that doesn't let me review the feature properly, but also because that's not exactly good for the users of Qt. If this feature gets merged, where are the users of Qt going to find information about this feature, right? So you're supposed to write documentation, you're supposed to write tests, and hopefully you're supposed to write a lot of examples that showcase your feature, or maybe modify some existing examples. Qt comes with so many that you can certainly find a place where you can add your feature and make it obvious why it is an improvement over the status quo. Only after that, so only after I'm convinced that this feature makes sense, and I like the API, I like how it integrates with the rest of Qt and so on, I'll start looking at the code. And also this typically doesn't happen in just one level. I don't go nitpicking about every single small detail. I'd rather keep it modular and in several phases. So at the overall phase, in the first phase, I just look at for blatant problems, like you're adding code to a class that shouldn't have that code. I don't understand what this function does. There is too much things going on here. You should refactor your code in something simpler. And the point is that the code review process is actually an iterative process. After you address these issues, then I'll take some more time and go slightly more in depth regarding the review. So I'll start looking even for the smaller things, the smaller mistakes. Why did you use a row pointer here? You should be using a unique pointer. Why are you doing things this way? You're supposed to use a more modern facility. Watch out, these things don't exactly follow the Qt code convention or whatnot. Up to the last level, which is really the nitpicking level. So if everything else is absolutely fine, I may nitpick on minor things like comments, white spaces, and other really small things that do not impact the quality of the contribution. Rather, they are important in order to make the Qt project consistent with itself. So if you're using something which is violating the Qt coding guidelines, then I'm going to actually signal that to you, if I, of course, spot it, and so on and so forth. So the whole process here is not easy, and it's not even immediate, right? If you contribute something which can be as simple as a new class, it's going to take a little while for me to review it, understand it, comment on it, ask questions. Sometimes I'm not convinced, but maybe people can reply to me and convince me that no, I was wrong, there was the code is actually fine. And so how does this work in practice? Well, in practice it works that people send some code into the Qt review system, and they may add me as a reviewer, or I might just stumble upon the contribution if it's one of the areas that I are more focused upon in Qt. Sometimes I don't really know that area, but I just call some other people to help me out in the review. And then, as I said, I start from the top. I start from the high level and start navigating my way down to the little small things. That, to me, is the most important part. You should never be scared to comment negatively on some code. It's very, very important to understand that any comment on the code is never a personal issue. Okay, I'm not commenting on your personal qualities. I'm not commenting on your skills as a developer. I'm just commenting on the code on its own. And it also happens to me that sometimes I get really attached to some piece of code that I developed. It took me a long time to find a solution to some problem, and I just push it, and some people say, no, that's not a good solution. And I try to insist and try to say that, no, my solution is better than your solution, simple things like that. But I found that those arguments don't really go anywhere. It's a much better idea to look at the code as its own thing, its distinct entity. Once you put it up there for reviewing, please don't take it personally if you get some harsh words regarding this is bad, this doesn't work, this is leaking memory. It's not a bad judgment of your skills as a developer. It's just a bad judgment of that code. You are given the opportunity, of course, to correct those mistakes, to upload a newer patch where those things are fixed. And while at it, maybe you also will learn a couple of things about Qt, how things are done in there, what are the coding guidelines for Qt, and whatnot. So this is enough theory, I think, for now. And tomorrow I'm going to put it in practice. So what we're going to see tomorrow is that I'm going to show you a couple of patches that are currently pending in Qt, and I'm going to give you my opinion, right? Once more, please don't bash the developers that they have no faults. Actually, they are very courageous at putting their code out there. Okay, but I'm going to just review it, and I'm going to guide you through this process. So what are the things I'm looking for? What are the mistakes that are more commonly happening when somebody tries to contribute something for Qt, especially if it's the first time? Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid of uploading something which is bad or makes no sense. We can guide you through the process. There's nothing wrong about asking questions, and there's nothing wrong about you upload some code, it does not look good. Somebody in code reviews is going to tell you this is not good. No problem. I'm going to fix it and upload a new version. So thank you very much for listening for now. I'm going to attend some more talks here at World Summit in Berlin.